Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Global News Review. This week, we're going to be talking about Waymo. We're going to be talking about some events that are happening in Nigeria with the SEC and also with Kenya. So stick around. And if you are someone who has been hit by the economy in the past, meaning that you weren't expecting some things and it hit you in the face, then this is the this is the channel to be on, right? My name is Ola, just in case you don't know, and I have almost 20 years experience in finance. I'm a CFA charter holder, and basically, what I do on this channel is explain personal finance, investing, and the economy in simple English so that you can take action. That's like the most important thing, taking action. So let's get on with the news, right? Of course, these sessions are powered by the Money with Club. Yeah. If you haven't heard about us, check us out www.themoneywithclub.com, and we are taking in new members shortly. So join the waitlist if you haven't already. Yeah. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is that Waymo plans to launch a robo taxi service in London in 2026. Now, if you don't know Waymo is a subsidiary of I was about to say of Alphabet. Alphabet is the company that owns Google. I was about to say Amazon. I'm like, no, that's not it. But yeah, so it's one of the subsidiaries of Google. Now, if you listen in consistently, you realize that Google as a company is building itself into a massive behemoth, very big word, of interesting companies, right? And they're always trying to think into the future. And one of the things they invested in, I think about 2 years now, is this robo taxi business. They bought it. It's called Waymo. Now, what is Waymo doing? Waymo they have deployed in Tokyo, Japan. Yeah, they tried that. And now they are moving to the UK. Now, for me, it actually sounds interesting. Of course, as an investor, you'd be like, oh, thinking about the future. There's a possibility of growth, expansion as the company Alphabet is entering into new spaces. So they keep staying relevant. That's fantastic. But on the other hand, you have to look at it also from an investment perspective and saying, hey, first of all, regulators have not fully approved. So they just announced it to tell you that, okay, this is coming, and start preparing your mind for your first robo taxi ride in London. That's one. But the second thing also is the fact that they plan to work with local fleet companies, that existing fleet of cars, right? Not like they're bringing their new cars, which makes sense because it reduces your capital adoption or capital contribution at the start, which is very valid. However, the ability to onboard, adopt those fleets, over time is going to, it can be a lot, right? And the final thing, what does the British market think about it? The British market where the pedestrian is the king, right? The British market where mind the gap, yeah, there's a subway and all that, right? And where there's also Uber and the likes and then black cabs and all, except if they're going to do things like adopt black cabs. Well, the black cabs guys who are going to render jobless, take it like that. Do you understand? So while it sounds exciting, right? And it's the future, right? I would say that there's still some, let's see how this goes about it. But then, I mean, cryptocurrency, for example, is having its field day around the world. And that's probably the next thing I'm going to talk about. But there was a time when cryptocurrency was like, don't touch, don't touch, don't touch. But now we are seeing that crypto is becoming the bride that everybody's adopting slowly and surely. But I mean, this robo taxi thing, I would like to know in the chat. I see that some people online. Would you get into one just for trips? Especially in a London that has very tight roads, that have people crossing. Well, let me say they jump onto the road, but it's almost like the pedestrian is the king, right? Like literally, the pedestrian is the king. Like, yeah, it's more of a walking culture than a driving, moving in your cars with the traffic. Do you understand? So I would like to hear, like, would you try it out? or would you adopt that way? Let's wait and see. Let's see how this goes, kind of thing, right? So drop it in the comments. I'd like to hear. Now the next news. Okay, so if you don't know, we also do have like some free. So Money with Club is one of the expressions of the Money with. The Money with is a triad of three expressions: media, community, and school. So we have different things for different people. Apart from this education, which is under our media arm, we actually have programs that you can sign up for. We also have a community that you can join. We're also about to launch a light community, light LITE community. So just watch out, right? If you're someone who needs to put your finances in order, there is something that we can do with you, or we can help you with, even to your kids' school. Yeah, check us out, right? Oh, I see some comments. Oh, I see Osaruma says comment. It says robot taxis are exciting. I take one just for the fun of it. And as investor in Alphabet, it's positive to see the company expanding to new frontiers. Very, very valid, right? And I think yes, everyone would. There's going to be that initial hype of let's see how it goes. Let's take a short drive. Let's go. But you will now go like on the M16 or something with robot taxi. I know, but I mean, in fact, another thing to even consider is the fact that Robotaxi, Google, Alphabet is an American company. They've launched in Tokyo. They've not launched in America. Last I checked, it's Tokyo that they've deployed, and then they're coming to London. That tells you something about knowing the market, that there's a little bit of sanity on the roads. They cannot try it in Lagos. Lagos will mess with their models. But yeah, we get it. Thanks for contributing, Osaru Mese. I also like to hear from other people. Moving on to the next news, Kenya passes a landmark law. So basically, Kenya has passed a law to cover virtual assets, right? Nigeria has done the same. A lot of African countries are gradually picking up. South Africa has done the same also, where they are putting structure to their virtual assets portfolio, like to protect the citizens. So, before, when it comes to like crypto, it was more like don't touch, don't touch, everybody don't touch. We don't approve it. So nobody should do it, right? And that was the game for a while. But we're getting to a point where, and I mean, even when those things were being done like that, especially there's even a recent, I can't remember what African country, but just made investing in crypto a criminal act, right? Like this year, sometime this year, maybe like 2, 3 months ago. I can check it out and find out the country. But while some countries have adopted that, and then Nigeria went that route, but didn't sign it into a law, but the CBN clamped down on it, and then they finally reversed and they're beginning to adopt. We even at the time when they were clamping down, it was obvious that you just create a black economy, one that you cannot find, one that you cannot see and you can't regulate. Why don't you bring them in? And so we see that a lot of African countries and countries generally, I talked about Japan. Japan's finance minister, a G20 country, is saying, "Oh, you should have crypto in your portfolio." We're like, okay, which tea are they all drinking? And all of a sudden, they've woken up and decided that this crypto that has been here for a while is something that you should adopt. But yeah, that's what's happening right now. Now, so Kenya has passed this law, and then the law is split between what the central bank will do and what the SEC will do. Every country has their own SEC. Everybody knows what central bank is, but this SEC is the Securities and Exchange Commission. It's basically the body that regulates all investment activities in the country. Everybody has their own version or definition of any serious country. Acha has their own, right? But they're saying that there are some things that the SEC will regulate the operators, regulate the operators, but the central bank would manage the actual stable coins license, the stable coin company licensing. But the cool part for Kenya was that if you want to do anything around this in our country, you must register locally. You can't be abroad saying that you have an app, a tool, a this, everybody should plug in without having presence in the country. They said no, you will come in, you register as a local business, even if it's a local subsidiary, you will register. Guess what? Before you register with the SEC and with the central bank, there are requirements. There's capital requirement. There's blah blah blah. There are lots of things, right? Such that for the country, they are going to be bringing in inflows on the back of that. And then if you are aware, Africa has been a major adopter of cryptocurrencies, and then we have the population to support those activities, right? And young population, that's even what I mean, not just about population, young population that is more interested in these things and more nimble around it, right? So there is a case for you to see a Kenyan and say that, okay, as much as I prefer to be working offshore because I have an app, I need to come and register locally. So for them, beyond even just the fact that they are adopting it, they are creating a pathway for development, not just growth, development within the country. So I say big ups to them on that. So yes, final news, final news, final news. Let me take this out. Oh yeah, Nigeria to sweep to shift to T2 settlement to boost market efficiency. This one is just an explanation. What exactly are you talking about? So backstory is that I used to be a trader. So as I saw it, I just said, oh, being there, done that. So I used to be a trader. I used to be a fixed income trader. So I used to trade bonds, euro bonds, treasury bills, yeah, naira, currency, yeah. So I used to trade. So I really understand what they mean. So basically, whenever you do a trade, okay, let me keep it simple. When you transfer money, like in Nigeria, I know some clients is not like that. In the US, it's not necessarily like that, like that. You have to go through like a Zelle to do it instant. Like, but in Nigeria, if you are transferring instant pay on your phone, is immediate. Like if the person doesn't get in 5 minutes, what's the problem? Do you get? So, but that's instant settlement. That's what it's called. But when you are buying a stock currently, because it's going to be implemented in November, they don't actually kick off in November. When you are buying a stock, you would go to your stockbroking app, you will click buy, the amount will leave your available cash, right? But and then you would see that you have bought the asset, but the asset has not actually settled. The asset will actually settle in 3 days time. So if you do this trade on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, on Thursday, then you will see a text from CSCS saying, oh, this no, you see the text immediately, but the actual settlement, meaning actual settlement, if you wanted to move it, will be on Thursday. You get a text immediately, if I remember, because you'll debit blah 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 and all that. Now, what they are saying is that instead of it settling on Thursday, it's going to settle on Wednesday. Now, let me tell you why this mattered, and I will tell you from a fixed income perspective. What I have seen is that there was a time when we had like financial services companies that had issues, right? And one of the things that would happen is that the company will be alive today. You trade with them today, and the next day they have shut down, right? So you did a trade. The trade hasn't yet settled, but the company has been liquidated, or CBN has made one announcement and they shut it down. That kind of thing. So what they are doing is that what happened in that situation is called the settlement risk, where you've done the trade, but now the ability to settle is in question. So shrinking from a 3 day to a 2 day, and even some countries, I think the UK has announced, I think from next year, they're going to go into 1 day settlement, is pulling out that settlement risk. It means that if, for example, so that you understand what it means, if you buy that stock and it hasn't settled, and you print out your stock broking statement to use it as collateral for a loan on Tuesday, it will not be there. That's what it means. So they are saying that the appearance of that stock in your portfolio would move from a Thursday to a Wednesday, and it reduces settlement risk, makes the system more efficient, make aligns up to the global practice. Because I mean, for the fixed income market, we've been doing T+2 since forever, since I joined the market. That's like 2007, 2008, right? And it has been there all that while. So the equities market is just catching up, and this is just the Nigerian financial system just upping its game. Now I've said I need to do an op-ed on the Nigerian financial system. So many things are happening, and there's so many policies, and if you don't know, what you are seeing on the street is driven by policy. Is either a good policy or a bad policy that is driving the madness or the sanity that you are seeing on the streets. So you might feel like this is just paper, but no, is this paper that is driving your personal experience in your pocket? And that's what we talk about on this channel. So basically, I'll say big ups to the SEC on this. They're adopting it from um, next month, November. And so for us, what will be on lookout, if you're someone that has ever had to use your stock as collateral, then this is a good one for you, because you can actually say, okay, I have cash. I don't want to use it for this transaction. Let me quickly buy a stock that I think is good, and it will settle on, I buy on Monday to settle on Wednesday instead of Thursday. I can quickly present it as collateral to get to do this transaction. Do you get? So big ups to the Nigerian government. And on this note, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone for listening in, for contributing. No further announcements this week, but see you next week. Bye.